Hello and welcome. Today we would like to talk about HHL as a continuous driver of transformation. Why transformation? On the one hand, it's a buzzword. On the other hand, many people nowadays talk about it. It's in the newspapers, in companies. And I also have Daniel with me today. He claims that a mindset change plus digitalization leads to a performance increase. But before we dive into the topic, I would like to introduce Daniel, a former student from HHL, born and raised in the Leipzig area.
Yes.
After 15 years of a corporate career, he became a founder of several companies. He's also a business angel investor, a TEDx speaker, the president of the German Beta Gamma Sigma chapter.
Correct.
And also you have evolved as a thought leader in the area of global mobility. But maybe you would also like to add a few points or introduce yourself a bit more.
First of all, thank you, Stine, for inviting me to your chat today and giving some insights on global business transformation. Just to add on my claim you mentioned before that global mindset plus digitization leads to increased performance. I would actually specify it a bit more. I think global people management will lead to increased performance and sustainable performance. But as you said, we will get into the details and how I come to this during the conversation today. And also, just to give a bit more background on myself, so I'm actually from this area. I was born in Grimma, which is like 20 kilometers away from Leipzig. I did my apprenticeship as a banker in Leipzig and also in Grimma. But currently I'm living in Berlin with my family. I have 3 kids. And before I moved to Berlin, I was, as you mentioned, in the corporate world. So I started working in the international human resources environment with PricewaterhouseCoopers. I prepared tax returns for Indian inbounds, working for Daimler or IBM. Then later moved on to Deutsche Bank and Bombardier. And in 2017, I dropped out of the corporate world and tried or had to try my freelance consulting career and started as a freelance consultant, which leads to today. As you mentioned, I have a consulting company which is dealing with transformation and has the very main focus is on people and technology.
And did you change your career or did you become self-employed before you studied at HHL or after?
Yeah, so that's quite a tricky one, which needs explanation. During my time at PwC, I came across a lot of financial services industry clients. And I always saw, wow, these guys in a young age, they earn quite a lot of money. And I always saw they have an MBA. So they graduated at a elite business school. Okay. And I thought, maybe I should do this MBA to qualify for a higher salary. So I did some research. And then in the end, I had chosen HHL because it's Leipzig. This is where I'm from. And HHL made a very good impression to me because at that time, it was very family-like and like a great community. I changed my career, not because of HHL, but HHL gave me quite a lot of impulses or triggers that made it easier for me. Once I changed from corporate environment into entrepreneurial environment to utilize on my networks or the networks you have created, and also I think gave me a lot of insights gave me a lot of confidence in terms of mindset. So entrepreneurial mindset, the HHL spirit you're talking about. Yeah. This is, I think, looking back, this is what I got. So summarizing it, I think I'm on a journey, but throughout this journey, which is now lasting 20 years, from corporate to entrepreneurship, I'm actually on a mission. Okay. Mission possible.
On a mission possible. That sounds interesting. Maybe you can explain what global mobility actually means and why is this of relevance?
Yes. Thanks. Yeah, global mobility is an economic discipline related to human resources management. And global mobility initially described expat management, so sending people, mainly white-collar people, from one country to another, so cross-border expat management.
And white-collar people, that means people who in the management, in the field of management? Or
correct.
Business
So
management.
Knowledge workers,
okay.
A business manager who have to finalize a project, who have to transport the culture of the home company abroad, and have to do business development, or who have to develop projects or deliver projects in other countries. Yes, and during my time, so I did all this global mobility management at PwC, at Deutsche Bank, at Bombardier, and also now as a consultant. So I'm focusing on organizational development and creating functions, establishing processes, selecting external vendors or service providers, implementing them, accompanying the change. But I have noticed that this whole topic of global mobility is very much driven from a content perspective and keyword perspective from the UK and from the US. And I think we here in Germany and also in continental Europe, we have our very own definition of global mobility. It's much more inclusive. Of course, also times have changed. It's not just cross-border expats moving from one country to another. It's also remote work cross-border, which is a big topic. It's not just the knowledge workers anymore. It's also, we are talking about blue-collar workers. We talk about care staff. We talk about logistics. We talk about all different types of industries who have a requirement to source internationally, or who want to send their people to another country, into another culture, to develop certain skills.
Okay, but just let me interrupt you. Maybe to summarize, like your job is that you help small and medium-sized companies to manage the transformation.
Yes, so global people mobility offers different types of solutions. It's much more inclusive. It's not just expatriate management, sending people from one country to another. It's also remote work. It's offering talent development opportunities. It's actual relocation from one country to another country, but it's also international hiring. So there are opportunities or there are solutions out there where a German company, for example, can have a requirement of workforce. They do the sourcing in South America, in Asia, in Africa, and they can keep the people there. They don't necessarily have to move or relocate. And all this together is actually like this people mobility fosters global collaboration, with which we then can address real problems in this world if we collaborate globally.
How actually does this whole topic about people mobility fits to your mission possible?
Yes. So people mobility or global mobility is an international topic. So you're dealing with different cultures, different or international experiences, international people. And throughout my career and throughout the last years, I've always been exposed to an international business environment. Two examples. One is, for example, my communication agency, Keats Digital. This company this unit is fully operated by my Ukrainian team. So 4 people living in Ukraine, even in these times, but they are really spot on, and they are running the communication agency. And the second one is like a small NGO project I had started 4 years ago. It's dealing with the topics around entrepreneurship, internationality, and this is run by my Indian team. So I'm exposed and I'm dealing on a daily basis with international people. And at the same time, I can see what's going on in Germany. So coming back to Germany here, in my view, and I think the figures, they show it, the mindset is not necessarily the one we need right now. So we need a mindset shift, we need to transform our mindset, and we need to digitize whatever we can digitize. And all that, I still believe we can do it.
Yeah, that sounds super interesting to work with Indian people, with people from Ukraine. And I can imagine that sometimes also quite a challenge, also according to leadership. Do you have a certain pattern or a certain advice maybe to lead different cultures, and or what does leadership mean in this respect to you? Yeah, maybe.
I mean, when it comes to my own leadership approach or leadership style, you should ask the teams.
Yeah.
But what I experienced over the last years, collaborating with different cultures across the world, it's also like a formula. So number one, engage. So you work with your team. You're not the boss, but you are part of the team. You empower. So, for example, on this communication agency, there's, for example, Natalie. She's independent. She runs the whole shop on her own. I trust her. So I empower her by saying, so it's your shop, do whatever you need to do. In the end, we review the figures together and look at the performance. But until now, it was always great. And the third one is collaborate. And here the example I could give, and I think it's good, is the PMA, the People Mobility Alliance. So it was my idea 4 years ago, but now I've taken on other people as equal partners. So we have Mira and we have Stefan, and we are all totally different. And I'm usually the pushy one and the creative guy. But then,
so you're the leader, or the one who gives
I'm the leader.
ideas.
Sometimes I'm too quick,
Okay.
and or I'm too much into it. And then there is Mira saying, yeah, but Daniel, let's think about it. And we had the experience a year ago. Maybe let's do something else. Or Stefan, he's from Munich, different culture within Germany. So he always has different perspectives. So I think collaboration in bringing a business up and diversity and bringing all this together, this is key. And this is, to me, this is leadership. In the end, it's not about leading a team. It's about leading a topic to success. And there are different ways in doing that.
And talking about network, which is probably also an important cornerstone of an international business or international business units and things you do. Yeah. How important is a network to you in your role as a business consultant?
I think it got really important to me when I stepped into self-employment or starting as a freelancer, because then you have to find clients. You have to find someone who pays something to you. And how can you find clients? Usually through networks. And the first thing which really came to my mind was HHL. So why not HHL? Because I'm also in this Beta Gamma Sigma organization, which is also a network. And it's a vetted network. It's like-minded people. So I thought, let's tap into that. So in the end, since I started my freelance career, network consciously has become very much important to me. And I would actually see it as a first step to another stage, which is ecosystem. So throughout the last years, I have developed I'm very supportive of the thought of ecosystem. We are living in and this is where we come to the point of sustainability. So because we are living in a pretty fast-paced world, be it business, be it family, everything is quick and digital and bam. But if you think in networks, if you apply the connected thinking approach, if you don't think in competition, but you think in added value to society, to corporations, to individuals, I think the ecosystem approach is really good. Because you have different players, they can be competitors, but they can also be players who add up to each other. You have them in one system. And all together, collaborating, they add value on a global level.
And what kind of role does the HHL ecosystem plays in your world? Is there a certain connection besides that you found like a employee through HHL? Yeah. Are there more touch points maybe?
I mean, recently it got deeper and deeper, I would say. So you at HHL, you have the Spin Lab, you have the digital space. Also, you have this Beta Gamma Sigma. We have the Alumni Relations team, and I think for the last couple of years, I'm working with all of these people or organizations as a team in one ecosystem. So everyone has a certain strength, and I tap in everything here. Yeah, I would actually say, ecosystem thinking takes out the short-term, short-notice competition thinking. So it's working collaboratively in one area together as a team, adding value. And if you then add internationality or cross-border, different cultures, then it's getting diverse. And then it's with the different perspectives, it's getting more performant, I would say.
Okay. I remember that you also have a special connection to Leipzig. What does it mean to you?
I mean, first of all, I was born close to Leipzig in Grimma. Secondly, I have, since I'm alive, I have a certain relationship or a very emotional relationship to Leipzig, especially that my parents studied here or helped rebuilding or working in Leipzig. I did my apprenticeship or the theoretical part of my banking apprenticeship here in Leipzig. So all the financial stuff, I'm still remembering being in Leipzig. And then also when the wall came down, I mean the trigger was here in Leipzig. So this is where the people went on the street and demonstrated for the change, and which led to a big transformation. And especially for the people here in Leipzig or Saxony or Eastern Germany, this transformation was very painful. So I still remember people being afraid of losing their job, losing their home. Maybe there wasn't a reason for being afraid, because it's a social market here. But still, it was a huge transformative change. Yeah.
So that means Leipzig for you means also a city of change, or a place where change evolved.
Yes, yes. So Leipzig is a symbol to me for freedom, and it's not just a political thing like maybe in Berlin where the regulations are being made. No, it's actually, it was forced by the people. So they wanted a change. They didn't really know what's the outcome, and then they had to go through this transformation. So, and this is what I connect to Leipzig. I think it's impressive what happened here in Leipzig. Okay,
so let's summarize like the role model of change, of transformation, and from here you can start things. Yeah, that's why it's maybe also HHL was founded in 1898 in Leipzig, and is still here nowadays after his refoundation. Yeah, and you think from here?
I mean, in 1989, Leipzig was the nucleus where the transformation started, the German reunification. Now we are in challenging times again. As we said, we need this mindset change here and further digitization in Germany, all of Germany. Maybe it's Leipzig again, being the trigger for this change for all of Germany. And this is why I actually would like to bring my conference here to Leipzig. It's the International HR Tech Conference, where we connect different players in the people and technology sector. This is unique in Germany, and I think I couldn't imagine another place than Leipzig starting this new initiative.
And it will take place in Spin Lab, right? So again, somehow
part of the ecosystem.
In the HHL ecosystem, yeah.
Correct.
Small world. All right. So then let's continue to a little bit, switch the topic again a little bit. We were talking about Leipzig, about HHL, about the ecosystem. and HHL as a business school. So how do you see the part of HHL, or how HHL or business schools in general can contribute to transformation?
Yeah, so in general, I strongly believe it needs institutions like business schools or HHL as a business school. What I think is a bit unfortunate right now is what you can do there. One of the main titles or degrees you can get is the Master of Business Administration. Nowadays, administration is something which can be digitized. So this is something, it's not needed anymore. So I think there needs to be, going forward, a very even stronger focus on developing creativity and a certain mindset. So this entrepreneurial mindset, this is what HHL claims to produce in people, and I love it, because in the end it's not a mass market to me. Business schools, it still remains a small community of students who learn the right, or who have the right mindset, and who learn to create concepts which, in global collaboration with other people in this global ecosystem, will then lead to added value and solutions.
Okay. And some great things about HHL?
I think it's all great about HHL. Again, I think we stressed on that. The network is really great. And then, given my emotional connection, of course, the location is perfect. And without HHL, I wouldn't have been able to tap in certain networks, as we discussed.
Okay, and to wrap it up, I mean, our key question was on, we wanted to also see how global people management can drive sustainable performance. Any last thoughts on that?
Yes. I think, again, I'm repeating myself. I would like to say, think in ecosystems. Don't think too competitive. Think in collaboration and look beyond boundaries. So global collaboration in an added value ecosystem, I think this will drive sustainable performance of societies, corporations and individuals.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm looking forward to more collaboration and your next initiatives.
Thank you, Stine. Thanks, HHL, for having me.